Hello and welcome everybody to another edition of the Pride of the Poconos podcast. I am your host, Zach Sterniolo, joined this week by the newest champions of the Eastern Pennsylvania Conference North Division in EPC football, Stroudsburg, joined by head coach Jim Miller and players Ben Stokes, Sherwin, Stewart, and Trevor Hines. Jim, thank you and the guys for coming out here and joining the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Zach.
Absolutely. Let's go around the room here and introduce everyone. Ben, tell us who you are, what grade you're in, and what positions you play out on the field.
I'm Ben Stokes, class of 2019 at Stroudsburg. I play middle linebacker on defense, and on offense I play H-back.
And Sherwin, for you?
Sherwin Stewart, class 2019. I play quarterback.
And Trevor, for you?
Trevor Hines, last year at Stroudsburg, slot receiver and cornerback.
Well, guys, first of all, congratulations on the EPC North title. I mean, I know that's huge. Trevor, for you as a senior, this has to be a huge accomplishment for you and really gratifying. What was the overwhelming emotion after last week's win?
Really, the turning point was like halftime. We all started clicking. But like the moment that I knew we had it was when we got the ball back on offense.
You talk about halftime. You guys were down at that point 24-7 as ACC had just kicked a field goal at that point. Down 21-0 there with under 2 minutes to go in the first quarter. Sherwin, for you at quarterback, were you rattled at all? I mean, obviously it didn't show as the rest of the game went on. Being down 21-0 to come back to win that game 28-24, what was going through your mind down 21-0, and how did you keep your teammates around you focused enough to accomplish the task at hand?
You know, like you said, we went into the half down, but, you know, in the locker room, we kept each other up. You know, I kept telling them, keep your heads up. The game's not over yet. It's 0-0 on the scoreboard. You know, we just got to come out of halftime fired up and just do what we have to do.
Ben, for you as part of that defense, you and Zach Smith at linebacker have done a fantastic job really attacking offenses all season long. You had to be at your best for the remaining 3 quarters of that game. What adjustments had to be made defensively, if any, from the way the game started in order to preserve that win and limit ACC to just 3 points over that time?
I mean, we just had to stay pumped up, just do our jobs, stay focused, and really just do what we do.
Jim, as a head coach, you were able to nab the first EPC North title back in 2014 to get a second one here, and in the fashion that they did it for you on the field. How much pride do you take in the guys that you have on the field this season?
You know, that's one thing, you know, out of all the teams that we've had, these guys all always believe in each other. They don't give up. And that's what as a character building, that's one of the things that you look forward to. And, you know, being down 21-0, you know, the wheels are off. You know, we're on the rims right now. And they didn't give up. They fought back and they kept on, and they wouldn't give up. And that's what I asked for them. You know, as long as they give 100% and don't give up, you know, win or lose, it's the only thing I asked for, and they did a great job.
Record is 7-1 on the season now, 7-0 in this division. Still got 2 games left to close out the year. Next up is Whitehall on Friday night. What has to happen between tonight here on Monday and 7 p.m. on Friday heading into that game to make sure that, you know, everyone's emotions are held in check and everyone remembers that there are still 2 games to be played?
Well, I think, you know, I mean, obviously coming off that big win, you know, you got to get refocused now. And, you know, that's what today was. Today was walkthroughs, getting lifting in, getting back on track with our normal Monday routine. You know, tomorrow we'll have defense with a little bit of offense at the end. Wednesday will be offense with a little bit of defense at the end. Obviously, we get our special teams in there. And then Thursday is really going through and revamping everything, making sure that we fine tune it, getting type of wrinkles out that we think that, you know, might be, or any questions. And then really after that, you have a game on Friday. So, you know, as you get through the week, normal preparation as we would normally do for, you know, week in and week out. And we got to get ready to play against a very good team on Friday night again.
Ben, for you, I know playing middle linebacker as well as halfback, it's been a solid season for you. You've even made 3 catches for 74 yards on the season, 13 rushes for 105, 7 sacks defensively. There's been a lot of positives for you to take away so far throughout these first 8 games of your junior season.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about, watching film, studying, the offenses, our defensive line doing their jobs, opening up holes, letting me make some plays.
Sherwin, at quarterback, really done a fantastic job all season long. I think 84 yards on 12 carries last Friday. Really probably should have been 104 if it wasn't for the 20-yard loss on the final play of the game, but that's what preserved that win for you. Really a phenomenal performance. 732 yards passing this season, 45 completions out of 105 attempts, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. When you hear all those numbers, as a first-year starter, how much pride do you take in what you've been able to do on the field so far in 2017?
I mean, I just feel really proud that I could help my team, contribute a lot in the passing game and in the running game and leading my team to really big things.
You talk about being able to accomplish all that, and I know the offensive line has played a huge role in opening holes for guys like yourself, Trevor Hines, and for Kyer Grant. What role have they played in this team's success as a whole, really?
I mean, the line, those are probably the best guys on the team. I mean, they always have a positive attitude most of the time, and me and the line have a great relationship, and the quarterback and linemen always have to have a good relationship, because if they don't, they won't block. But they've always opened the holes, like you said, for me, Kyer, Trevor, Ben Stokes. I mean, even sometimes Chad. They've been really good blocking in the run and in the pass.
Trevor, for you, from your perspective, what have you seen that has allowed this team to succeed on both sides of the ball this season? Because it really hasn't been one side or the other, although the defense has maybe shined a little brighter at times. What have you seen that has allowed this team to succeed at this point?
The biggest key, really, communication. Just communication, and then working together. Pick one another's up. Want to make a mistake, just make sure they'll get what the mistake is and make sure it never happens again, so they could be proficient at what they made a mistake in.
As a senior, you probably have the most experience on this team. What's different about this year's team as opposed to teams past that you've played with?
Definitely younger athletes stepping up, not afraid. They really want that opportunity, because as I saw last year, some kids had that opportunity and just wasted it. But these kids actually want that opportunity and actually want to be the next star on the team.
When did you start playing football, Trevor, and what really got you interested in the sport?
I started playing when I was real little. I started picking up the game, but what really got me really playing football, Reggie Bush.
Interesting. Okay. What was it? Just his explosiveness as a running back?
Yes.
And I noticed you wear number 25 on the field too. Is that an homage to him?
Yes.
All right. Sherwin, for you, when did you start getting involved with the sport, and why?
I started playing football at around 10 years old. But before that, I've just been watching a lot of football. Football's been in my family for quite a while. I don't even know how far back, but it's been in there for a while. And, it's just been passed on. The skill has been passed on. And to be the first quarterback in my family, it feels good.
Who else in your family has played, and where?
My brother actually graduated from Stroudsburg last year. Sean Stewart, he's over at Lock Haven playing football right now.
What has it just been you and him that have carried it, or go ahead?
Well, my dad's played strong safety. My cousin over at Freedom, Jalen Stewart, he's doing good over there. I mean, my uncles played. They've mostly been defensive players, and it's just been a real long story of family football.
So it's really deeply rooted for you guys.
Yeah.
Ben, for you, when did you start playing football, and what drew you into it?
I started playing football for the school in 9th grade. I mean, I've always grown up watching football. I have 2 brothers, so obviously we played football in the backyard. My dad played football, high school and college, and it's always been a part of my life.
I know you play both ways, and you've been probably more effective defensively this year than offensively. What drew you to playing linebacker, and what's allowed you to succeed at that spot?
I mean, when I first started playing, that's where they put me. I mean, that's where I developed, and that's where I like to play. Was
it your size? Did you like going in for the hits?
Yeah, I like all that.
It's the right sport to go for it in. Jim, for you, what do you see in all these guys when they're together out on the field? I know Trevor talked about how important the communication is with this team. What do you see from this squad on the field?
Well, they're together. That's one of the things. I know they'll say they'll break it with family a lot of times. The biggest thing is they help each other wherever they need it. So on the field, they'll help each other out if they need to help each other out. So one of the things is, and that's what's making us a real close-knit team. And that's what you need. You need 11 guys, offense, defense, and special teams. And then even our scout team, they go out there and they have to duplicate what we're going to be seeing, in week in and week out. And they do a great job. And it's really a team building atmosphere that we have with these guys.
So with that, let's move to some of the off the field stuff. I know obviously the three of you are student athletes, and student is always said first before athlete. So Ben, I'll start with you here. As a junior, what have you seen as far as trying to balance being both a student and an athlete at the same time?
I mean, it's all about time management and getting your work done, so you can play on those Friday nights. You got to have the grades, and that goes a long way.
Sherwin, from your perspective, do you feel like the grades are talked about enough at this level, or do you feel like there's too much attention on the athletics, or do you feel like there's a balance between everything? What's it like from your perspective?
I mean, grades are really a really big thing. If you're not doing good in the class leading up to that Friday night game, you might be ineligible, so you can't play. So that just gives you a lot of meaning and drive to focus through the week on both schoolwork and football work, so you just could play on Friday nights.
Trevor, for you, what do you feel like you've learned over these last 4 years playing football at the high school level, and how does it help shape your mindset as far as taking care of those priorities and responsibilities academically before you even take a foot onto the field?
As I learned through the years of playing football for Stroudsburg, hard work really does pay off. I heard it a lot of times, and as I heard it, I'm like, I don't believe that. You just have it or not, but it really does pay off. And as I've seen these 2 years, some athletes just do that grade just so they could play on the football field. But where I come from, like, education is important. Even like after the season, like, the grades will always be the same as it was during the season.
What have you seen both positively and negatively through social media? How do you find that you can best utilize it for yourself?
To be honest, that negativity, like as in like Stroudsburg's not gonna win this, or the tough game, the chances are on that team of winning over Stroudsburg, that turns into positive to us. It motivates us. It makes us practice way harder in practice, and then makes us go out there and just prove whoever said this wrong.
Sherwin, for you, do you get that same sense of motivation from that stuff, or do you just try to block any of that trash talk out?
Well, usually trash talk, I mean, to this whole team, especially me and the guys that contribute to this team, trash talk is a real motivation. A lot of, like Trevor said, a lot of people say, oh, Stroudsburg isn't going to do this, Stroudsburg isn't going to do that. And that just gives us a lot of drive to show that we could do this and we could win a lot of games and we could play some ball.
What benefits have you been able to see from it? I know you're still a junior and this is your first year as a starter. What benefits have you seen from getting on there and being able to communicate with players from other teams, with classmates, with as many people as you can on Twitter?
Even as much as trash talk is, I mean, I'm friendly with a lot of guys on other teams, but like I talk to them outside, keep up with their season. But when we play each other, it's like the brotherhood is out the way. It's we're enemies, but like it's just different. But like social media is a really big thing.
Ben, for you, what's your kind of personal policy when it comes to social media, as far as what you're putting out there, what you're consuming, and seeing what everyone else puts up out there? What's your own personal policy with that?
I mean, I have Twitter. I mean, I like to go on and see what's going on. But, I mean, personally, I grew up, and raised a humble person. So, I just go out there and play football.
Kind of leave it off the computer and off the phone.
Yeah.
Jim, for you as a coach, I know social media is a lot different now than even what it was when it first really came to into existence within the last decade or so. As a coach, what kind of responsibilities do you feel like you have when it comes to social media, and what are the positives and negatives that you see from it?
Well, I think some of the negatives is, all the talking that goes back and forth. You don't want your players saying anything that another team could put up on their bulletin board, like this is what they said about us. And, and I usually talk to these guys about it. I say, just ignore what's out there. We will play on a Friday night and our actions are going to show what we can do. And that's one of the things I talk to these guys about. Obviously, you got to worry about stuff that they put out there that could hurt them too, because I know there's colleges, they follow the Twitter like crazy and they look. And I've had college coaches come in and tell me about different athletes that they would follow on Twitter, and then all of a sudden they put something out there that, for them actually hurt them, and they would, lose scholarships because of that. So, I mean, if you're a good player and there's colleges after you, they're watching social media. So you got to, I try to tell these guys to be as smart as possible, whatever they put out there.
And that brings me to my next point, which is the recruiting process. Obviously, those coaches are out there, and like you just said, one poor post, a poor decision could totally erase a scholarship opportunity, and at that point, a college opportunity. What's the recruiting process like from your perspective, even social media included or aside? What is your role when it comes to the recruiting process, and really how does it even begin for these players?
Well, there's a lot of different websites that I'm on. First of all, there's people that follow me, a lot of coaches that follow me within the internet aspect, and I have constant colleges coming in, which is nice. And, one of the things that we also have is the word of mouth from other coaches. I had a couple coaches that came in last year. They were new to the area for recruiting. And they said, we heard from another school that, some of the guys that we have this year that they had to come in and look at. So you get word of mouth also. What's nice about it is there are a lot of coaches that I'm connected with that I can give a call to and talk to them. They'll call me, they'll text me. I had one in today, and it was sort of like late notice that he just said, "Hey, I'm going to stop in. You mind?" I'm like, "No." And they're starting to look now at the juniors. Their scholarship players are done, so now they're going to start looking at the juniors. So, he said he'll be back again in the spring, and we'll have all the transcripts and make sure the grades are where they need to be for whatever school they're looking for.
Ben, as a junior right now and performing at the level that you have been this season, how much focus are you putting on those grades now, and are you starting to look at what schools might be the right fit for you?
I mean, it all comes down to grades. That's the first thing that, these coaches say to you when they talk to you. I do look at some schools, but I mean, right now I'm just focused on finishing out the season good. So.
Sherwin, for you, are you putting any extra emphasis on any part of what you're doing right now, or are you kind of just even keeled and let college fall where it falls, or are you actively pursuing anything?
Well, I'm just trying to focus on my grades, and like Stokes says, finishing the season, because the coaches will find you, so the grades got to be up, and like they would see your athleticism and find out how you are in school. So that's a real big thing in the recruiting process.
Trevor, for you, what do you feel like? What's the college process been like for you as far as the recruiting goes? As a senior now, really starting to shine in certain roles here. What's the recruiting process been like from your perspective?
Yeah, usually I just don't think about that stuff. I just think about my options at the end of the year. I just really focus and just stay out of trouble and just try to get through the year.
Let's talk about life outside of football. I know, especially mid-October, you don't get too many options to breathe aside from homework and football. But for you, Trevor, how do you try to fill that free time?
Off season, I work out. I do play basketball, and probably help my dad around the house here and there.
Sherwin, for you, what do you feel like? How can you fill that free time once football ends in early November?
After the season, the guys that are coming back next fall for the football team, we're in the weight room, we're running, we're doing a lot of stuff, in the cold. Sometimes when there's even snow out, we put on our sweats, our leggings and our hoodies, and we go out running, and we're in the weight room. And then that's in the winter. Then in the spring, it's just, you're off to your different sports. Stokes is playing, like Stokes said, he's playing baseball, and, I'm doing track, and just keeping myself fit.
What events do you run in track, and how can participating in track help you once you get onto the football field come June or July?
I do 100 and 200, and with that helps really speed and explosion. On the speed part, those 40-yard dashes, those help your athleticism and the acceleration and stuff like that. And explosion helps you a lot.
Ben, for you, as Sherwin said, I know baseball is a big part of your life here as well. You were playing baseball, I think, before you were playing football. What positions do you play on the baseball field, and how big of a part of your life is baseball?
I play second base and I pitch, and it's a big part of my life. I mean, it's the sport I play in the spring.
Jim, for you, I know obviously, especially this time of year, football is always the main focus. What else do you have going on outside of this sport?
Well, what I usually do after football's over, we have a family farm that I'm the fourth generation of, and we have beef animals, we crop farm. So, that's what I do. I have 3 children, and they're active in sports, playing basketball. I coach my middle child in baseball. So I run his for Cal Ripken out of the Bangor League. I run that team. I've been doing that now. So, when you get away from football, I have other things to do. I know, it gets the end of the season, we start taking our corn off. If I need to go and relax a little bit, I'll sit in the combine for a couple hours just to clear my head, get ready for the next team. So, I have a lot of different things that I do, usually with all these guys, I'll be in the weight room with them till about 4:15. And then, we get out of there and I go home and do whatever I can around the farm or, hunting season or whatever it may be.
As a fourth generation farmer, I'm sure there are a lot of life lessons you learn growing up that way. How has that kind of paid off in the different aspects of your life, whether it be through athletics or adulthood in general, really?
Well, the biggest thing is I know when we were a dairy farmer, you see my dad as a perfect example. If you're sick, you gotta go. Cows are 24/7. There's no questions about it. You have to. So, that's how I sort of am with school and football. If you're going to do something, you give it 100%. There's nothing else, and, my wife, thank God, she's very good with that because, there's times I may not go home till real late, and she understands. And that helps out a big role because she knows I'm spending, this is the football team's my other family. I have my family at home and then I have my family at Stroudsburg and these guys know how I feel about them. I would do anything for them and how when they play and, when they get good grades or they do well, it's awesome because you're seeing these guys be successful and that's what it's about, and I like to see them all go into college. If they play football, great. If they don't, as long as they continue their education and their career, that's all I ask for.
Pro sports, any favorite teams?
It's the Giants and Yankees. There's no question about it. And Penn State.
Thank God.
Keep rolling for Penn State. But
hey, number 2 in the nation now.
They are. But they got some tests coming up. We'll see how that goes.
Ben, for you, we'll go around the table one more time here. Any favorite pro sports teams?
Patriots and Yankees.
Oh, God. Well, we're 1 for 2. Go ahead. Sherwin.
For me, it's really Giants, Yankees, and Notre Dame.
All right.
Yeah.
Why Notre Dame?
They're just a great school, I love Notre Dame. My mom loves Notre Dame too, and I just been following Notre Dame. They're a really good team. Their coach is really good. Their offense, I love their offense. They have a really good offense. So yeah.
I couldn't help but laugh there because your coach over here just called them awful right off the bat. Trevor, for you, do you pay attention to any of the pro sports? I know you play basketball as well during the winter.
Favorite football team, the Eagles. I don't have a favorite basketball team, but I have a favorite player, Kyrie Irving.
That's a pretty solid player to pick up on, honestly. Why the Eagles?
I've been a fan since like Mike Vick and Deshaun Jackson. You know, those big three. LaShawn McCoy.
All right, that was a pretty good combination. I totally disagree with your choice there, but I'll respect it a little bit more than Ben's Patriots. I'm kidding. That's all we've got for today's episode. Be sure to check out our Football Picks podcast tomorrow as Mike Coons rejoins the party with me and Sean Suchy. Again, that's going to be tomorrow. That's Thursday. To find all of our links, you can find us on Twitter at Pocono Podcast. This podcast can be found on YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, and Stitcher. Please be sure to like, subscribe, or comment wherever and however you're listening. We want to hear from you, our listeners, and see what you have to say. And if you subscribe, you'll never miss any of our newest episodes. This podcast has been brought to you by PoconoRecord.com/contests. Last year, we gave away over $20,000 in prizes, so be sure to visit often to see what we're giving away next. Again, that is PoconoRecord.com/contests. That's all we've got for today. Thanks for listening, and until next time, take care.